Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is embarking on a 2-day official visit to Saudi Arabia at the invitation from the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. The high-profile tour will involve the Prime Minister visiting Jeddah, marking the first diplomatic visit by an Indian leader to Saudi Arabia's commercial hub in over 4 decades. The visit follows just days after New Delhi slammed Pakistan for misusing platforms like the OIC, which includes India's allies like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, for spreading anti-India propaganda and lies on Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi's visit is expected to strengthen India-Saudi ties with an eye on strategic domains like defense, security, trade, investment, energy and technology.
Saudi Arabia is a very important partner for us in several respects.
The Ministry of External Affairs highlighted the significance of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the Gulf nation. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri mentioned, quote, "This visit presents an opportunity to further strengthen the already robust ties with this strategic partner. The Prime Minister and Crown Prince share a strong personal bond marked by mutual respect, which has greatly benefited the bilateral relationship," unquote. So what's on the agenda? The two sides are expected to work towards enhancing defense and economic engagements during the meeting of the Strategic Partnership Council. As Chinese economy faces an uncertain future amid Trump tariff tsunami, India could emerge as the new manufacturing hub of the world. Saudi Arabia, which is already the third biggest supplier of crude oil to India, is now offering additional concessions to grab a larger share in one of the world's biggest consumer markets, according to this report in the Economic Times. During 2023-24, the kingdom became India's third largest supplier of crude oil and LPG, providing 33.3 million metric tons of crude and 18.2% of India's LPG imports during that year. Saudi Crown Prince MBS has bold ambitions and has pledged investments worth $100 billion in India. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri indicated that there could be discussions on steps to facilitate this huge Saudi investment, taking forward the agreement sanctioned during the Crown Prince's visit to India in 2019. Till now, Riyadh has invested nearly $10 billion in India, including that of PIF or Public Investment Funds, as well as Saudi-backed Vision Fund. Remember, Saudi Arabia is India's 5th largest trading partner overall, while India is the kingdom's 2nd largest trading partner. The value of total trade between the two nations in FY 23-24 was nearly $43 billion. India's imports from Saudi Arabia stood at $31.4 billion, while exports to Saudi Arabia stood at $11.5 billion. The Indian Foreign Secretary added, quote, "Apart from trade, investment also continues to do well. And there are investments across different sectors such as energy, steel, chemicals, food sector, telecommunications, and startups," unquote. Most importantly, the implementation of the Strategic Infrastructure Project, or the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or the IMEC, will be discussed by the leaders as the global supply chains realign given the ongoing US-China trade war. Announced during the sidelines of the G20 summit in New Delhi, the IMEC is more than just a grand economic project. It's India's bold strategy to become a central pillar of the global supply chain, as well as enhancing its manufacturing capabilities. The project is being termed as a bridge between the East and the West and is being envisioned as the biggest rival to Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative yet. The corridor that includes railroads, shipping lanes, and road transport routes which span across 4,800 kilometers. It consists of the East Corridor that will be connecting India to Middle East like UAE and Saudi, and the Northern Corridor that will connect the Middle East to Europe via Israel, Greece and Italy. The corridor will provide a reliable and cost-effective cross-border ship-to-rail transit network cutting logistics expenses. It will also bypass the Gulf of Aden and the Suez Canal choke points, thus would be a shield against geopolitical upheavals. India and the UAE also recently held high-level discussions to speed up the IMEC corridor project. Despite a slowdown in the project due to the Israel-Gaza war over the last 2 years, the Modi government is eager to take stock of the situation and once again push forward with this project. As far as defense ties are concerned, they are also on an upward swing between both the nations, with India sealing its first defense contract with Saudi Arabia in February 2024, with state-owned Munitions India Limited sealing nearly $300 million worth of orders to supply artillery ammunition to Riyadh. Characterized by high-level exchanges, mutual military exercises, the nations are also now likely to explore ways to further the cooperation in defense production and counter-terrorism, boosting regional security. Saudi Arabia also participated in Indian Air Force's Tarang Shakti multinational exercise in 2024 as an observer nation. The Modi-MBS talks are expected to feature the signing of several MOUs, including one on green hydrogen as well as solar energy projects. The two nations share close friendly ties as Saudi homes approximately 27 lakh Indians who act as a living bridge between the two countries while also contributing to Saudi's economy. Prime Minister Modi will engage with the Indian diaspora as well as visit a factory in Jeddah and interact with Indian workers there to ensure their welfare. The visit comes amid intense diplomatic engagements between the two nations, with 11 ministerial-level engagements just last year. The last time Saudi Crown Prince MBS visited India was for the G20 summit in 2023, while in 2016, during a landmark visit, Saudi Arabia conferred the kingdom's highest civilian honor, the King Abdulaziz Sash, to the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But have your say. Has Saudi Arabia emerged as one of India's most stable allies? India is aiming to wrap up the first phase of a trade pact with the United States by autumn, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said during her visit to San Francisco. Calling the US India's largest trading partner, she emphasized the importance of sealing the deal beyond the tariffs issue. Sitharaman's 5-day trip includes key meetings at the IMF, World Bank, and with US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Talks with the US Trade Representative's office are also on the agenda. The urgency comes as India looks to capitalize on a 90-day pause in tariff hikes announced by President Trump on the 9th of April. India is reportedly open to slashing tariffs on over half of US imports worth $41.8 billion in 2024. To smooth the deal. With two-way trade hitting $129 billion last year and a $45.7 billion trade surplus in India's favor, momentum is building for a landmark agreement. India's economy is comparatively insulated from US tariff turmoil due to its low trade dependence, as per a Goldman Sachs report. Whereas India's merchandise exports constitute merely 12% of its GDP compared to 19% in China and 82% in Vietnam, it is less exposed to global slowdowns. India's GDP growth was comparatively uninfluenced over the past 2 decades, with the exception of extreme crises such as the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID pandemic. However, Indian stock markets, especially the Nifty 50, are closely correlated with the US S&P 500. Despite such economic shielding, equity market performance in India tends to mirror US trends. The report continues to note that US slowdowns continue to influence exports and port traffic as the US absorbs 17.7% of India's total exports. Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.